this, the largest, blastingest podcast around. I'm your host, Stoney, and I'm joined, as always, by the wonderful and whimsical Welshie.
Whip me, Slanesh.
And the marvellous, magnificent Matt.
Hello.
Welcome to this, the Large Blast podcast, where we talk about all things Warhammer and Warhammer related. And we like to kick things off with an idea that is totally original to the Large Blast podcast. And if any other Warhammer themed podcast use it, they are copying us, and that is hobby progress. So Welshie, what have you been getting up to? I know that you've been doing Slanesh stuff, and I'm excited about it, so I'm asking you first.
Yeah, I've done my second Emperor's Children unit, which are my custom converted warp talons. So the warp talon kit and the jetpacks in it I always thought were really janky. So I took the Shadow and Pain demon winged girls and I took their wings off and their tails off and I stuck them on some raptors.
They look really cool. You put some pictures up of them. They do look really cool. Some winged have raptors going on, but little pro tip, if you have bought the Raptor pack and you are thinking about doing some Slanesh stuff, those little discs that go into the jetpacks that look a lot like a speaker are quite handy for cutting them around and using them as like speaker bits, because they've got that they look a lot like that and they can be used quite niftily for that.
I've just started building the Venom Crawler, that spider thing, and I wanted to put some speakers coming out of its big fat bulbous arse, so that's a great idea.
You've already got them, Welshie. You're ready to go.
Amazing.
Boom, done.
And then I also wanted to I put a dude in there with his top off, because I was like, it just felt really Slanesh. I had this buff dude, so as a spaceman with his top off.
I like the fact that he's got his armor on. He's got his shoulder pads and his armor on, but he's still like, fuck this, I'm going topless, Slanesh, baby. Yeah, cool. Very cool. That's
what I've been up to. And then aside from that, I took up a tip of yours, Stoney, and I'd like to fully get behind the silicon molding. It blows blue. I mean, blue stuff's great. I still think it has its uses if you're just making the odd thing. But if you want to cast the same thing over and over again, you need to get yourself some of this silicon molding.
It's next level. It is next level for sure. Yeah. I'd agree. Yeah.
And to reiterate one of your previous top tips as well, I've got a selection of bottle tops, plastic bottle tops that I'm doing the casting in. And it's just making life way easier. It stops it spreading all over the place. So
I think you need that for that silicon. Either that, or you mix it with more of the purple part, which is the hardener.
Okay.
To make it a bit stiffer, but when you're mixing it 50-50, it is very floppy, and you can make mistakes just by it kind of coming away from the model.
I did buy I found some cheap eBay store that didn't send me the nice metal pots like your one. I just got an envelope with 2 really wet bags of silicone in, because it needs to stay moist. So they're So
somewhere that
wet.
There's a guy.
There's a guy. Scooping out wet silicone. Yeah.
Just in Albania or something with 2 buckets of different kinds of silicone, just dropping it into bags. Oh, nasty.
Exactly. So
grim.
But worth it.
Yeah, but if you really want to get serious, then you want to get that liquid silicone. That's next level. That shit's Well, I've got some of that as well. That's what I've been going to cast my Akira bike in. So if you want a knockoff Games Workshop Akira bike, you didn't hear it here on the podcast, but here up your old buddy Stoney. Anyway, so Matt, I see that you're painting as per usual on this. What are you working on?
Well, I'm cleaning my brushes actually right at the moment. They need a bit of TLC.
Yeah.
I haven't done much this week, to be honest. I have started a special character for my Sisters of Battle, which is quite fun. But hopefully, I'll have her finished for the podcast next week.
Okay. So who's this special lady we're talking about?
It's the one with the big floating altar.
Oh, Junith.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool. Yeah.
I like I've seen. Have you guys used the same paint scheme for your sisters as Welshie you've used for your Slanesh stuff?
Between the two of us? My sisters are beige. I think it's very similar.
I mean, okay, yeah.
I think it's very I'm Vulpus pink over Lead Belcher. Is that what you did, Matt?
Yeah.
But I'm.
You've both got
like silver.
I'm 50-50 and highlighting an Emperor's Children pink. So it's a very thin pink, which I think makes it a little bit brighter on the
It
model.
is a bit pinker, yeah.
Yeah, and I've
I-
also I dry brushed the lead belcher right up to like the shiniest silver before I put it on.
So that's what I do. Yeah.
Well, they both look very cool. I could see some similarities with the pictures that you had posted, and it's funny seeing it on a larger model like a Space Marine, and on a shoulder pad, seeing that on the, you kind of see the difference in size. But it's a really cool paint scheme. So if somebody wants to rip that off, I would highly recommend it.
To be honest,
any
like
contrast
anything, any contrast over silver. My favorite is a Kellyan green over silver. Gives you the perfect Alpha Legion. That really shiny blue. It's beautiful.
Cool.
What about you, Stoney?
Well, for myself, I'm glad you asked, Welshie. Well, for myself, I've been doing mostly ZBrush. I've been ZBrushing it up, making different heads and things. Feel like I've turned a corner with ZBrush recently, and I would say that if anyone's been listening to the show for a long time and they could trace back to when I started ZBrush, and this episode right here is, well, that's how long it takes you to get relatively good at ZBrush. So so hopefully you can trace that back. But I think I started properly in like maybe May sort of time. So but I feel like I've turned a corner with it now. I've been doing good with that. I've also been working on I've been doing some magnetizing stuff. This hasn't been Games Workshop, but I've been using Games Workshop magnets for it. Okay. And I feel a little bit like, did you guys ever hear
Games
that
Workshop
kind of
magnets?
Well, no. Well, magnets from
magnets.
Green Stuff World or whatever, but the Games Workshop size magnets. And this is going to sound really daft, but like, have you guys ever heard that song by Insane Clown Posse where they've got that bit in it where they're like, magnets, how do they work? And it became like this big joke where everyone was like, Insane Clown Posse are really dumb because they don't know how magnets work.
Yeah. I
feel a bit like Insane Clown Posse because I've got these magnets and I'm tossing about with them and everything. And I'm just like, it's been a while since I've had a magnet. I'm sure that there's lots of people listening to this that deal with magnets. I'm finding them entertaining. It's great, but at the same time, I think that I might just be a juggalo that doesn't listen to Insane Clown Posse because I'm mesmerized by magnets and I don't know how they work.
You know who else lists magnets as one of their hobbies? Charlie Kelly from Always Sunny. When they do his his dating profile, they just put magnets as his hobby. So
I've been unconsciously creeping closer and closer to him as the time goes by, as it is, so that I don't need any more proof that I'm becoming.
You want to treat yourself to some
Kelly.
oids. That's like next level magnets. That's the crack of the magnet world.
I've been messing around with magnets, and they're annoying to work with in large quantities because they stick to each other and you get the wrong sides different ways, and also slightly mesmerizing. So there you go. If you're like your old buddy Stoney here and you're mesmerized by magnets and not a juggalo, then make sure you tag us on Twitter, #LargeBlastPodcast, whatatremagnets.com.
Should we do some news?
Yeah, let's do some news, please, God.
So my first little bit of news for you guys this week is the second in like 6 weeks, I think, where White Dwarf have released an actual current rule for 40K based on a chapter that someone that works for Games Workshop has made up, which I kind of like. It's just a little rule, but these are the spears of the Emperor.
Guys,
that Aaron Dembski-Bowden invented. And they're obviously quite characterful. I haven't read any of these books because they're all 40K, but yeah, now White Dwarf have just gone, if you fancy collecting Spears of the Emperors, here's a army-wide rule you can use.
Can you not decide between the Space Wolf and the Ultramarine paint scheme? Why not start collecting Spears of the Emperor?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I just think it's quite cool. It'd be cool if I'd really like to see the same kind of thing for non-Space Marines, like someone that works at Games Workshop's got a really cool Dark Eldar
idea. They used to do that.
Yeah.
Like I said about the Tau, last episode, I said about the Tau, the human auxiliaries, that was an army list in White Dwarf, like a couple of different rules to allow you to do that. There was the Chaos Blood Pacts that I've mentioned before. They were like a cool army list, so they probably will. If they're doing this now, we might get 9th edition special rules for different armies. It would be good.
Yeah, I think it's really nice. And this cover makes me want to. It's the best recent cover on a book I've seen for a long time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm a bit confused by his sword, and like when I
think
first
it's probably
saw
a spear, Ali.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, that is a weird sort of football shaped sword. I'm not watching. I don't have you guys on full screen, so this is like micro screen to me. But like, I thought his gun looks like it's a bear, and he's got like a bear arm and a weird. Anyway, I'm sure it's great. You guys can see it, but in a thumbnail, it ain't great. But
what you're saying now sounds a lot like Mrs. Stoney trying to describe Warhammer figures, but you're actually Stoney and you know what you're talking about.
It's a real blast from the past for the old school LBP fan there.
Hey, and if anyone has been an old school LBP fan, you will know for a long time that Stoney does not know what he's talking about. So I'm happy with that criticism.
Next up then, new Blood Bowl star player. And I put this in because I know you're working on kind of copying one of these ghosty type fellas. But this is Gretchen Watcher, who I read the little backstory, and she was like a Warhammer widow who was married to a guy, and all he did was go off and play Blood Bowl, and she hated it, and she hated Blood Bowl so much that she was resurrected from death so that her hatred of Blood Bowl could be used on the pitch by necromantic teams, which I really enjoyed.
That's pretty cool. I see she's kind of tethered round a bull. So would that mean that she kind of replaces the bull as like a spooky character that's popped up where the bull is, and like, you know, it's just like, get the fuck away from the bull, all of you go home, get a proper hobby or whatever. Just like pisses on everyone's bonfire.
I'm sure you've all got washing up to do.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
I thought she was quite a cool model, actually.
Yeah, it's good. Again, she's got good hands. Like, I know that we always talk about, like, every time we see, like, maybe we're kind of Philistines on this podcast, because every time we see a model, we just look at it and just be like, oh, I'm going to chop those fucking hands off and use them on another model. But this model has some pretty cool hands. If you've got like a spellcaster or something like that, then you could, you know, she's got the kind of hip hop hand pose that you could reposition for various spells or cigar smoking or any other kind of weird.
She also looks like she could be doing some extreme yo-yoing.
Yeah, you could. Oh man, yeah, you could just stick a yo-yo straight on her, and that wouldn't look out of place. Yeah, they missed a trick there. They should have done the yo-yo as the ball, and then she could have doubled up.
Lots from the Black Library coming out next week. I'm very excited, obviously. Particularly excited about one of the books, which is they've done a super collection of all of the Dan Abnett stories. Apparently, he's been writing for Black Library for 24 years. And they've gathered a load of his short stories and put them all into one book.
Is this the first time they've done that with a Black Library writer?
I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it might not even be the first time they've done it with Dan Abnett. You can imagine they might have done it 10 years ago. But
that's what I was going to say. Is this maybe like a kind of a Black Library Hall of Fame where they're just going to start busting these out for like the? Because I mean, let's face it, Dan Abnett is like I mean, you know, he's 50% of the franchise at this stage, right? Like,
and the law,
yeah.
But I thought that could be quite nice to listen to. And then there's 2 new Siege of Terror books coming. The actual one in the series, which is called Mortis, so I'm assuming the Chaos Titans land on Terra, which would be fucking great, because who doesn't love a Titan war? Fury of Magnus, which I think is like a short story, but it's like the return of Magnus. He's kind of been missing in the whole Horus Heresy for a little while on his planet as sorcerers, building up his power. So that'd be quite cool. And then
they're coming out thick and fast at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, I worked it out actually. The actual books, the Siege of Terror books, they're one every 3 months.
Yeah,
and then there's these little ones in between. Yeah, it's good going. And then the Primarch series, where like each book is focused on a different Primarch. I've listened to a couple of these recently. They're quite good. The Alfarius one is coming out, which I thought would be hilarious if you bought it and it was just an empty book, because you're not allowed to know anything.
Yeah. It's just a guy saying it just starts off with some of this might be redacted, and then it's just a beep noise for 15 hours.
Yeah, or one of those like when stuff from the CIA gets released and every other word is blacked out in dark pen.
Like the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, if anybody's following that out there.
Yeah, so loads to listen to there. I will be buying my 3 credits for £18. That is for sure.
Well, I was quite tempted to. I finished that Age of Sigmar one that I was talking about.
Oh yeah, the horror one.
Yeah, it's called like Dark Harvest or something. Black Marsh. Oh god, that's bad, isn't it? I can't remember the name of it. But it was pretty good. It was an enjoyable book, and I kind of feel like because I didn't enjoy reading the Black Library books so much, but I've enjoyed having them read to me. So I feel like I want to like jump back in. And I remember, I mean, we're going back like a few months here though, Welshie. You were saying you gave a couple of recommendations for if you wanted to jump in. So
yeah,
what I'm interested now. So where do you think I should jump in?
Well, you know enough about the story to not have to go back to start. The initial trilogy is excellent, but if you're more
that's like
focused
Horus
on like
Rising and that, you mean like
so like the first trilogy is great, but then everything kind of splits down different storylines. So it depends like who's your favorite. Who are you interested in?
I want to start where all the action is. I kind of want from the like siege, on Terror or something like that, or like I don't know.
I think Unremembered Empire is a really good one to kind of start. There's lots of action. There's lots of primarchs in Unremembered Empire. It's got 4 primarchs in, and then it just kind of depends like which primarch you're into.
Yeah,
the White Scars trilogy is a nice trilogy.
I like Kurz.
I think you'd really enjoy the Kurz Primarch book, which is like Hammer horror. Him speaking to a statue of his dad that he's made out of flesh. Like,
hell yeah.
Dad, why don't you love me? And then retelling his story of his life to his flesh.
Well, she get Amazon on the phone because you just sold them a credit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick that shit up. What's it called?
It's the Kurz book from the Primarch series. I'll message it you after. Right. This is a bit of interesting because tomorrow we're recording this on a Friday. What is the date today? 22nd. And tomorrow's the next of the big previews. And they said that it was going to be the preview of the Dead and the Divine. But it's been hindered again by one of their potato cams. I don't know whether you guys saw the leaked photos. So I reckon they've probably now released real pictures of most of the stuff that they were going to reveal tomorrow. However, all of the stuff that they've released is Age of Sigmar, and they've said that tomorrow there'll be releases for 40K, for Titanicus, for Kill Team, for Underworlds. And then this is the bit that I thought we could talk about briefly is ? New board game. What is it going to be?
I wonder if it might be the old world stuff because they've been, the old fantasy stuff like renewed because they've been filtering that out for a little while. That because I remember I saw this on a Facebook group and that was kind of my first thinking was like, oh man, maybe I'll text Nico and see what he thinks about this, but so I don't know. What do you guys reckon it is?
I mean, I hope it's Battlefleet Gothic, but it's not going to be. Yeah, I just thought it was interesting. Man O' War. Do you reckon they're bringing back Man O' War?
Man. No, Lord.
Well, they already did, didn't they?
No, I think Man O' War is gone. That's sunk. That's in Davy Jones's lock.
It's not going to be any of these. It's going to be one of those board games like they brought out that Monopoly game. It'll just be something like that.
Warhammer Cluedo, Who Killed Sanguinius. We know basically. We'll have a look at some of the models that they've revealed for Age of Sigmar.
To be fair, but if they do release like Warhammer Guess Who or something like that, then we've got a lawsuit. So you heard it here first on the Large Blast podcast.
They also, I'm quite excited to see. I hope they show the full thing tomorrow. The Adeptus Titanicus reveal seems like it's going to be an Imperator Titan, but for the Titanicus board game, so the tiny scale, but an Imperator. Because they showed a picture of one of the legs with a las cannon popping out of it that was like the smallest las cannon you've ever seen. So the scale of whatever it is big. 40K releases tomorrow. Anything surprising? Is it going to be Fulgrim? He's pretty divine.
Oh man. Yeah, okay, guys, where do we stand on the Fulgrim release now, coming into the new year, having spent basically the whole of last year talking about Fulgrim coming out? Like,
this is where we need to do our year predictions.
Well, it's a good place to start.
Okay, fair play. So, what what do you think is going to happen this year, Matt?
Well, I reckon that tomorrow we are going to get the beginnings of the new release of the Imperial Guard. We're going to have plastic Valhallans, I think, and maybe plastic Steel Legions, where you can interpose the various parts. Then for a main course in the summer, we'll have Fancy Fulgrim, who will be coming out, has been rescheduled from Christmas, and Christmas 2021 will be Angron.
You reckon 2 Primarchs in less than a year?
Yeah, because
Right,
I think they planned
So this is
Fulgrim last year, changed the plan, and they're going to keep.
this is basically your predictions from last year with Angron tacked on as well.
Yeah.
Big year for Games Workshop. Welshie, sorry. What have you got any predictions for
I think that the 40K reveal tomorrow will be very disappointing. I think it will be either that Orc model that they haven't revealed yet, or that did they reveal that Admech model yet, Matt? That they trailered ages ago. You saw?
No. So maybe it's that box set.
Yeah, something like that. Something not very major, or even worse, just a book. Could just be a book.
Yeah. There's some Death Guard stuff on the horizon, isn't there? Could it maybe drop in more Death Guard stuff?
I think that might be it for them.
But I think they've had a lot. You know, you'd hope it isn't more. Yeah. We'll see.
Hold on, guys. You haven't taken my predictions, and I'm going to stick. I'm sticking to the old faithful. Gene Steeler limo. It's going to run down Fulgrim. It's going to cruise down the Imperial Guard. All the rest of it. Gene Steeler limo. It's happening. It's happening this year. You'll see. If not, don't forget to hit up your old buddy Stoney for a casting of a Gene Steeler limo.
I mean, aside from the Gene Steeler limo that's being revealed, they did have to reveal the pictures of the stuff that got leaked. And I don't know if you guys have seen the models. They are absolutely fucking mental, these new Haish models.
Yeah, they're the kangaroo ones.
Talk about them. The first ones that look like kangaroos are called Huracan Wind Chargers riding tree runners of Haish, which is stupid to start with. How do we feel about these?
I don't know, man. I'm getting a kind of a weird Avatar-y vibe from this, where it feels a bit like they tried to kind of make something new and elfy, and they just ended, like you say, it's like a weird kind of uncanny kangaroo. Its hands are too human-like. It's bizarre. Yeah, it's like something out of one of those. What was it? Dark Crystal. You know that David Bowie film, Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
It's like an elf riding around on an animatronic from Dark Crystal.
Yeah, something like out of what's that? The film with the big white like bear dog that she
Never-ending Story.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Story.
It's one of it does look like that from Balthazar. Is that or something like that? It's like the dragon.
There's too much going on. It's just like those cows. It's just like that Techless model. I guess it's in keeping with the rest of the range, but
I mean, this is kind of the thing. It's like in some ways you've got to respect them for being like an elf has been an elf for what, like 30 years. Do you know what I mean? Like an elf is a pointy-eared bastard with like I say pointy-eared bastard with a bow and arrow, and then look at the picture and it's a pointy-eared bastard with a bow and arrow. But you know what I mean? It's kind of like an elf has been an elf for years. And this stuff they're doing now is a different take on elves, which you've got to kind of respect and like take a nod to. But at the same time, some of this stuff just isn't hitting the mark. The thing is I mean, you can't see this at home, obviously, but we've got 2 pictures in front of us now. We're talking about the guy that's like riding on the weird raptor thing, but next to it is a guy riding on a sort of a stag thing, which I've got much less of a problem with, even though it is still a bit out there and a bit Avatar-y and things. It's still more like a kind of an elfy stag.
I know what you mean. It's got a little bit more normality to it.
So how do you guys feel about that, as in like an elf has been an elf, and like how do you change an elf like as a designer, you know?
I think this is the first time I've looked at them for more than a passing minute, and I think actually they don't interest me at all, but I think as a model they're probably really very good. And if you saw them in a shop or you saw them in the Games Workshop window, they're going to turn heads. Like an army of them they're going to look really cool.
I mean,
perfect for contrast paints as well. Like,
that's it. We're kind of jaded over the years, but you've got to think of little Matt that saw the original lead models, but him seeing these, like, what's he going to think about that? You know?
Yeah,
that's
and
true.
They're perfect for the new paints, and people can pick these up now. There's so much detail on them that they can really easily show with the paint range.
Yeah,
which is very different to when we were younger, and we'd buy like a really nice model and we'd cover it in
like
thick layers of.
These are obviously wet blended, those fur transfers, but as an 8-year-old kid, you could get pink and you could get white, and you could slap them together and let them run into each other with contrast, and it will do a fade in effect. Not like that, but it'll be damn close.
Yeah, your 8-year-old eyes would think it looked like that. It'd be enough to,
from a distance on the battlefield. Definitely.
That already,
So I guess that's the divine. On the other side, two models that I love: the dead that they're going to reveal tomorrow, new vampires.
Yeah, these are amazing.
Cool. I do like these. How do you go? So you guys at home have probably seen these, but one of them is become quite notorious by now, which is the bat hair. Bat hair, I don't care. I've seen it memed as, which is the guy with a bunch of bats in his hair. How do you guys feel about old bat hair here?
I would cut all of the bat bit off and then have a really great model. So I'd leave the strands, some of the strands coming out, and I don't need the rest of it. The rest is incredible, I think, but the bats not so much.
I mean, I hate to come at models every time from this same perspective of where every time I look at a model, there's something I would chop off. But I think you could get rid of the head entirely off this model, and the conversion potential just opens up entirely. Like if you've got like a dark elf army or like something like that, then you could use that body for so many different things. But yeah, the bat hair is a bit mental for me as well. It's not my cup of tea. But the other model, the vampire lady with the double swords, that's fucking class. That's a class model.
Really great. And what's really exciting about that model is that that's just one of the next Diachasm band. So the like smoky purple Slaneshi guys, and then the corn guys that were on fire.
So this is the Warhammer Underworlds release. Okay.
So she's going to be one of a set of 5 or 10 equally cool models, you would imagine.
It is so good. When I've seen this online during the week, and for up until yesterday, I thought this model was done by not Games Workshop. I thought it was a 72mm large scale 3D print resin model that people were selling, and people were doing proper nice fancy paintwork on, and actually it's a 28mm. It's amazing. The model is amazing.
Yeah,
it is amazing.
It's very good. I mean, it's very early in the year to do a model of the year, but that's I know we just did our small model, medium model, and stuff like that. But
I would agree though
that's a strong start.
It's my favorite single character so far that they've released this year. I think it's incredible, and it's got that thing that we all seem to love on the podcast, which is still dynamism. It's not doing anything stupid, but it looks like it could come at you in an instant. That's really cool.
Yeah, very cool model.
So the last model to look at then, the official model spotlight, because I know you're in love with this one, Stoney. The new Lord of Virulence model. Do you want to do 10 seconds?
Oh, God damn it. All right, okay. Cool. Count me in.
3, 2, 1.
All right, cool. He looks like every other Nurgle release that's come out, but he's got like a big flat gun. He's got a distended belly. He's got like a kind of a kilt on. He's got like a bit more of a serious World War I head. All right, yeah. I'm so done with these Nurgle releases, to be honest with you. Like, I've got this weird thing where it's like when I first got into 40K, kind of back in sort of got into it as an adult back in kind of maybe like 2011, 2010. Like, I was really disappointed with the Nurgle range, and all I wanted was this kind of model. But now it's just like there's so many of them, and they're like, I don't know if it's the paint scheme, but like every time I see a picture of one, they just kind of blend together. And it's daft because when I see the individual models, I do think they're quite cool. Like some of them anyway, there's a couple of real missteps in the Death Guard range, in my opinion, but like some of them I pick up and I'm like, oh, that's fucking cool. I saw one the other day where it's got like a mouth in its stomach and there's a little nurgling inside it. And I was like, oh, cool. That's cool as shit.
Yeah.
But like when you see them all together as an army, I don't know. I just don't know. I'm just not into this.
I do think my problem with them is that they walk that cartoony line that we talked about so finely that it's easy to step over it. I also don't like the green. The best color schemes I've seen on this is the really dirty beige.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the green is very comic book.
I'm not a big fan of this. I mean, I say it's a new color, but this color that came out with the re-release of the Death Guard way back in whenever it was 2016 or whatever. I like them when they've got, you know, I've seen some where people paint them all kind of neons and purples and greens and make them all really kind of crazy, you know, sort of lean into that comic bookish stuff that you've talked about maybe a bit more. And I kind of prefer that. But like when I see these Games Workshop release for these Nurgle stuff now, I'm just bored as shit. It might as well be a Space Marine lieutenant as far as I care now.
Yeah, you know? It is like that. You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, they could release a character for one of the other Chaos factions. I think with this model, the thing that really gets me is the real contrast between how cool each of its weapons are. So the drippy power claw is awesome, really scary, spiky, and then the weird, you described it as flat gun, looks like someone sat on the barrels.
Yeah,
they're just one looks
like
amazing and one looks awful.
This is just a bizarre model to me. I don't know. This is a combination between being fed up with Death Guard release and just not really liking this model. He's got this weird stomach that's popping out as well that just looks like it's coming out of nowhere and just looks like a kind of a bizarre fucking ball bag or something. I don't know.
It's funny though, actually, if you just pointed out the Power Fist. It's a really odd mixture of weapons because he's got a weapon that he has to get right up and personal with somebody. He's just got a really long gun. So
I think it's a flamer though, Matt. I think rules wise, it's like
flamer would make sense.
Yeah, it's like a pestilence flamer.
It still doesn't make sense. Like if you've got a really long gun, you don't want to have a really short range weapon. You at least want to have a sword or something long that you can. It just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Everything you've said about the range is so true, because I've over the last few months I've kind of considered getting the full box set of that kit where you can buy one or you can buy the full range of 8 figures, whatever it's called.
The individual models, they're cool.
Well, I thought about getting the whole set of them, and then I thought about getting some of these other figures because I quite like the Death Guard, but then every time I thought about it and I ummed and ahed outside the Games Workshop window, I felt the same as you, Stoney. It was just like, they're just boring.
Yeah,
they just don't like. They're really cool on their own, and when I see them all together, it just doesn't interest me.
I mean, this is the thing: is I wanted this kind of style. I think would be really cool. Like if you had like a kind of a Chaos Undivided army, and you had like a squad of these guys and a squad of Rubric Marines or something like that, then I could imagine that looking kind of cool. But as a whole army, it's just a bit tiresome. Like, I don't know. I'd just like to see a little bit more variety. Like, I don't know, like maybe do a skinny model that's all like, you know, emaciated and like a skeleton and like all his flesh has fallen off. Yeah, like a kind of a death style character or something, you know, or like, you know, riding on a fucked up horse, or like, I don't know, just something a little bit different than this. It really feels like with this and some of the new Space Marine stuff, there's just a kit they open up on ZBrush or something like that just has a bunch of stuff that is like Nurgle stuff or like Space Marine stuff, and they just pull it in, and it's just feeling, it's that started off fine, and I was down with it at first, but now I'm starting just to feel a bit of fatigue with this entire range, if I'm being honest with you. The other thing is Death Guard are getting a fucking another reboot, and you've still got these tired old noise marines. You've still got these tired berserkers that desperately need a reboot. The last thing we fucking need is another goddamn Nurgle. What? This is just another Nurgle guy in Terminator armor. Who fucking gives a shit?
Yeah.
Get the fucking berserkers out.
I think this is purely a business decision. It's like you go, well, not in the UK, but you go into the shop to pick up your codex and you go, oh, I'll buy one of them as well. That's all it is. So they can release something at the same time as the new codex. But
yeah, you're probably right.
Berserkers are coming. Angron is on his way.
Angron at
Christmas time.
The Angron model, I think, would be better than the Fulgrim one. I think the Angron model would be fucking sick with the butcher nails and like massive hunking muscle.
I'm going to throw the last remaining Horus Heresy Primarch as well into the mix for this year, because we need to see the Khan.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And in this section of the show, we're going to get down to the meat, the nitty gritty. It's nearly time for everybody's tax return to be in, and that's why it's good time to remember the Adeptus Administratum, the unsung heroes of the 40K universe. So these are the guys behind the scene, pushing the paper, writing the books, making shit happen. And Welshie, I think you've got a little quiz to help ease us into a bit of the lore to do with this Adeptus Administratum.
Yeah, just a little quiz, not too competitive, just some questions so we don't forget any of the smaller parts of the Administratum, and then we can spend longer talking about some of our favourite bits maybe from the various sections.
Sounds
all right,
like
so
plan.
you can go against each other this week, because last week I let you work as a team. So let's have all in. So question 1, when did the Emperor create the Adeptus Administratum? I'll give you, closest person.
I think it was 2022.
The year M2.2.
Next year, I reckon that's when the Emperor is going to come out, and we're only moments away.
I'll let you revise it after Matt, so you can go for a slightly higher or slightly lower.
All right. I think it's the year 40,000. No, it can't be that.
Matt, I'm going to have to push you on this one. You're just picking a number.
I've been letting you fuck it up.
Dig my own grave, yeah.
Yeah. I think it was during the Great Crusade.
We need
to pick a number.
Pick a number.
Well, yeah, I'll give you to the nearest 1,000.
When did it end? The middle of the Great Crusade.
I'm going to say 30,000. I'm going to say the
Stoney,
year 30,000.
You win with an actual number. It was the year 30,000.
Booyah, default winner.
Just after Eleanor, he decided he needed some people to really keep track of the Great Crusade. Question 2. Who was the first master of the Administratum?
I'm going to say Signor Reno.
Oh, it's neither. You got to go higher up the chain of command.
It's
the Emperor. The Emperor.
It is Malcador. Well done, Matt. Malcador the Sigillite, first master of the Administratum. Question 3. If the Adeptus Administratum stumble across some people breaking laws, they don't investigate. Can you tell me which branch of the Adeptus does?
The Adeptus Investigatus.
No, but they probably do exist.
Probably.
I'll give you a clue. They are the law.
The judges. Oh, the Inquisitors. The Inquisitors.
Oh, the Arbites. Well done, Matt. I think together with the Judge Dredd. The Adeptus Arbites. Question 4. This is just a simple true or false. The Master of the Administratum is the most powerful of the High Lords of Terror. True or false?
True.
False. Then I'm going to go false.
It is true. He is he can not override because they're all technically equivalent, but he has the most sway because nothing happens without the paperwork.
I like it better when we work as a team.
It's not that. It's about even so far, I think. I'm not keeping track. Listeners might be.
I've been keeping track. It looks like I'm winning by quite a lot.
This is a blankety blank. The Estate Imperium, one of the branches of the Administratum, is known as the something Records Office of the Imperium. They're known as the something records office of the Imperium.
The DVLA.
Any guesses, Matt? You just got to
State
pick two
records.
words. The what?
State records.
Oh, it's close. They're known as the million-strong records office of the Imperium. That's how many people are working in dark cogitator booths. Question 6. What would you have to be declared for your history to face the Edict of Obliteration?
Taurus.
Oh, well done, Matt. That was not even a pause. Yeah.
What did you say? Clitoris?
Yeah, clitoris.
If you notice to have a mutant clitoris, you would be declared excommunicate traitoris by an inquisitor.
Jesus.
Then your
It's rough in the
entire
future.
history faces the Edict of Obliteration by the Administratum and is removed. However, question 7, who has set up the Logos Historica Veritas in order to combat this lost history and restore deleted records?
I haven't read about that. That's quite interesting. Gulliman.
It is Gilliman. Matt is on fire, yeah.
It
Since
would
he
be,
was
yeah.
resurrected, he's had enough, apparently. He's gone, this is ridiculous, we're losing all our history. We need to work out what's happened while I've been asleep.
He was just pissed off they lost his short story folder.
I think
They
that's
were like,
it.
I've got to
yeah.
retrieve everything. I had some good stuff in there.
He had a load of dreams whilst he was on ice that they'd recorded, and he just wants to go back and perv on them again.
It's like my DeviantArt page. What has become of it?
I was halfway through 40,000 dicks, and I can't remember where I got to.
Yeah.
Question 8. This is a maths question. Of the Administratum sanctioned abhuman species, what percentage are now extinct?
95.
Let's go 95.
I'm going to go 94.
Oh, slightly the right way,
Wonder-
Stoney. It's the right way. It's
right way, it's the right way.
63% of the
Booyah!
Administratum sanctioned species.
Oh, I
are
should have
now
gone with 69. What was I thinking?
And apparently the fighting and discussion around Ogrins is particularly difficult at the moment as to whether they should be sanctioned or not. 2 more questions to go. It's all to play for, Stoney. What must you get from the Divisio Audite if you want to sell things in the Imperium?
Oh, fuck.
Rogue trader thing, a bill of trade.
Ooh, Stoney, do you want to change one of those words?
Rights of trade.
Yeah, a rights of trade. I think it was a rights of trade.
I'm not going to give it to either of you. It's a warrant of trade.
Ah!
And then question 10. What would someone like Eisenhorn or Kotias need to skip the levels of bureaucracy? What would he need to flash at someone to get past the bureaucracy and just get the goddamn information he needs?
Gun.
The gun might work. Yeah, I hadn't considered
No,
that.
is that what do you
It's
need to
something
show?
they all have on show on their models.
It's the eye of the Inquisition.
Oh, it's close. You're close, Matt.
The-
It's red.
The seal of the Inquisition.
I think I'll give you seal. It's the inquisitorial rosette, the little
Ah.
red thing that they all have. It means that any administratum person must tell them the answer and can't fault them.
I was also going to say bribe. Is that probably also?
Yeah, I reckon so. So there we are. A little bit of background to some of the ways of the administratum there. But I think we've got some of our favourite bits to talk about, have we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've so in this next part we've all gathered. So you might think, oh, the Adeptus Administratum, they're all a bunch of paper pushing knobheads, but you'd be wrong because we've collected some interesting information about them. Matt, I know that you've been very keen on the Adeptus Administratum. This was your idea for an episode. So what have you discovered in your research that you want to drop on the listeners?
Well, yeah, that's right. The Administratum has always been like a really hidden element to 40K, but when you read about it, I think it is 40K. It's what makes 40K so weird. It's like the galaxy spanning empire that is all linked and communicated with like pens, quills, and little bits of notes. It's how they like communicate across the galaxy. So it's just so backwards. But I wasn't aware of this. What's it called? It's called the Historical Revision Unit, which is where like in 1984 by George Orwell, they basically delete history in the library on Terra. So there's a physical library, the library on Terra. They don't know how big it is. It's massive. There's like rooms that contain information for a particular subject or a person, maybe a planetary governor. So in 100 years or in their lifetime, if somebody else who's alive doesn't like them, they can delete them from imperial history. And these historical teams go round and destroy like entire rooms full of data on a particular subject and just wipe them from history.
Very Stalin-esque.
Yeah. Were either of you aware of that?
I didn't know that it was that, like, I thought some rogue agents just did it. I didn't realize before we started researching this episode that there was a whole branch dedicated to that.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes perfect sense, really, when you've got this kind of, this sort of fascist dictatorship that they're going to pull on all, like, let's say you've got some kind of golden boy and it's like old, Jimmy Neutron or whatever, and he's flying around doing a bunch of shit and then he falls to chaos. You've got to expunge that motherfucker from history. No one can ever know that he ever existed,
Exactly. They're actually called the people that go around destroying all this data are actually called deletion teams. So they're actually like a military unit that are armed with flamers, and they have these like skin tight suits on, and they go in these rooms and they set fire to the whole room and they stay there to watch it all burn.
I'm thinking if this is the kind of the bureaucracy ring of the Inquisition or the Imperium or whatever, they should load those flamers up with Tipex, just come in and blast down every piece of paper. Just be like, trying to read this now, fool.
I like the idea that after doing that, old Gilliman's Veritas group will be there trying to chip the Tipex off with tiny little fingers to get back to the information underneath.
They like an art restoring team with like little cotton buds and stuff, trying to pick away.
Like. When they go and perform this action, it's named something. It's called an edict of deletion. So if you are like we mentioned earlier, a planetary governor, and you go down as a traitor, you might not be a traitor. It's own agenda in the Imperium. So people wipe out other people's history who they want to be forgotten. Like maybe like someone that challenges their own dominance in some way. Like they used to do in Egypt, where they chip off all the pharaohs' faces and wipe them out from history. It's the same thing. So they perform an edict of deletion and wipe them out. But there are actually some good examples of where this has been done. And I
can
wonder
think of
if
two.
You both can think of an example.
Well, I'm thinking the Lost Legions.
Stoney, the
biggest heresy in all of Warhammer 40,000, the fact that old Fistula's been expunged from the records.
Well, they didn't do a good job because we know about him. But yeah, that is like the most well-known example of where something has been deleted from history.
I mean, they've played on that even in the lore recently. Like, I mean, do you remember when they did that destruction of Cadia thing and they released that kind of like pretend Imperial Guard, like what's it? Recruitment flyer being like, "Don't worry, Acadia's fine. Everyone on it's put a plaster on and they're ready to kick some chaos ass."
But
so
I think
they've played on it for years.
I think that now they've got company-wise, they've got a better handle on all the writings that are going on about 40K. Whether this recent introduction of Gilliman trying to write the truth, because they've always relied on the fact that non-canon things can be explained because history isn't truly recorded. Whereas I wonder now whether they're going to try and build it to a way that as the new stuff comes out, it does try and follow canon, because it's all kind of under the publishing house and stuff, maybe.
I mean, I think a really important part of enjoying 40K is understanding that there's this huge clandestine powers that are moving in ways that you can't understand, even as someone that's playing it from a kind of a god position. So I don't think they'll ever do away with that kind of like clandestine mystery. There's so much of 40K just relies on that, the fact that it's just like, you know, I mean, the whole fucking Alpha Legion is just like, ooh, where are they gonna, you know,
exactly.
this is that just kind of like stitched into the lore. It's a great kind of you know, story vehicle. So
I wonder whether your deletion
it's an
teams,
interesting point though.
I was just going to say, Matt, your deletion teams, do you think they have to go around and like remove gargoyles and paintings and statues? Like people that live in the town centre will be like, oh, where's that statue of old Cesarius gone?
Yeah.
Or we don't talk about that statue anymore.
They've stuck a different head on him overnight, and it's like, oh, what? Now we've got a Kanye West statue here. What was that all about?
It's called the Librarium Terra, and it holds all information. And they put it in rooms. It just is endless. Nobody knows how big it is because of all the information it holds. But they put everything into separate rooms, so it is easy to delete. I kind of thought it's almost like on your computer, when you have a folder on your computer, you have loads of stuff in different folders, and you just delete it and send it to your recycling box. Maybe Gilliman has got like a recycle bin, and he's like shuffling through it, trying to save some information. But the Gilliman thing is quite interesting, because I did read a little bit about how he's tried to tame the High Lords of Terror, so they're not there's less infighting with them all, and like people wiping out the history of somebody that they didn't like. And he's kind of reappeared in the 40th millennium. He's trying to kind of take back control. I think it will have an impact on the lore massively. But Stoney, you're also right. Like you kind of have to keep this craziness in, because otherwise it wouldn't be 40K.
Absolutely. I mean, I think if there is you know, I mean, definitely don't get me wrong, there'll be new lore, but all it will do is make new questions. You know, you've got to keep that mystery. So yeah,
I think he's going to reinstate the legions. Fucking cool. If he made a new, or just make the Ultramarines into a new legion.
That's a very sensible prediction, Matt, because I'm now imagining Gilliman going into these dark vaults and going into the Adeptus Sororitas medical records and being like, better take this room of pictures of nudie Sororitas back to my ship. Got to keep these for the Imperial truth.
But yeah, that was quite cool. I'd never read about that before.
Yeah.
Well, it's good. It's a massive organization, isn't it? So
absolutely. And it's one of those things that you kind of take for granted in terms of the model. Like everyone has a book, everyone has a scroll, everyone's got seals all over them, and all that shit comes straight from the Adeptus Administratum some point down the line. So you know, you see it on the battlefield all the time, so it's good to kind of give a nod to the boys that are out there writing all this shit. So Welshie, what did you find in your searches?
I looked up the Adeptus Munitorum, or the Departamento Munitorum, who are like the bean counters, and they're currently in charge of basically the entire Imperial Navy. So they track how many weapons are being made, where, what fleets they're being sent to, how many Imperial troops are being sent where, how long they're on secondment for, etc., etc. So they're the like mental mathematicians. And I just thought, what a boring job. It's like
they're in charge of the Navy.
Like what ships can be positioned where and where they come and go to. Wow. Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad that you kind of brought up the boring job stuff, because you know, you sent us a link or whatever to research the many different areas of this Administratum stuff. And I mean, this is geek on geek lore, really deep down to it. Like people that get right into writing up this kind of stuff. Like we're talking like, these are guys that made futuristic accountants and stuff in some respects. So like I think that I'm glad that you've picked something that isn't necessarily one of the big glorious ones, because there's a lot of obviously, you know, there's a lot of shit shovelers and stuff in this Administratum as well. So
that said, Stoney, this is unsung heroes. So I did want to mention the hero of the Departamento Munitorum, who I've just finished the White Scars series for the Horus Heresy, and there's a lady in that called Ilia Ravalion, and she gets seconded to the White Scars, who basically don't follow any of the codex. They don't follow anything. They're like, we're just going to ride. We're not going to listen to anything anyone says. We're just going to stick massive engines on our ships. We're not going to follow the rules. And she gets sent there, and she's just like savant, basically. She has a photographic memory. So she knows like every whereabouts of everything throughout the sector. And she sits there playing Go with the Khan. So the Khan don't play chess, and he don't play regicide or any of the 40K games. The Khan is playing Go. And she sits and plays this brilliant scene where like she almost beats the Khan at Go. And he eventually like lets her aid him because he realizes he's no good at organization. He just wants to run into battle. And a sequence of events happens, and she basically saves the entirety of the White Scars because she knows from seeing like one of these many documents in the Vaults of Terror that there's some kind of secret building going on, and they're stuck. They can't get back to Terror. And she realizes that she knows where the access to the webway, the secondary access to the webway that the Emperor has started building is, and that's how the White Scars get back to Terra, is they go through the webway. So she's like a real hero of this bean counting, that she puts together all of these movements of people, and because she knows information, she saves an entire legion.
Don't get me wrong. I'm a self-employed person. I know the importance of having an accountant. They are heroes in real life, and it's nice to see them get a nod in the 40K world as well. So
yeah, she's excellent. Just this old, frail old lady that's about to retire, advising the Khan how to escape.
But that like sums up really. That's where the real power of, so obviously 10,000 years later, still the real power of the Imperium is in this administration that just, the High Lord is like the most power. I read like they say he's like the most powerful man in the galaxy because they run everything, and the Departamento Monitorum is like the most powerful element of the Administratum.
Well, I mean, that is kind of the fun thing about them, is they are almost kind of like this conspiracy element, you know, like how people imagine there's like a kind of a conspiracy shadow government that like runs the world now or whatever. This is that kind of like taken to a kind of like fantasy extreme, and that's like, so you know, that is cool, this kind of characterization of like, you know, this kind of this mysterious people. It's almost like there wouldn't even be war going on anymore if these kind of bean counters just decided it wasn't fiscally beneficial anymore or something. These numbers game. Yeah,
they're the logisticians, aren't they? So the Imperium can't fight without somebody working out where the ammunition needs to be.
It's the second Always Sunny reference. So sorry if you don't like Always Sunny, but there's a brilliant Always Sunny episode where Charlie becomes in charge of the mail for an entire office building, and he gets so much mail that he doesn't know what to do, so he just keeps sending it to come back to himself so he can process it at a later date. And that's exactly how I imagine these offices running. Like they just put it in a different pile, and it just never ever gets looked at again. It said on the reading I was doing, like, just because a piece of paper's been lost, like entire planets haven't received the aid that they were supposed to have and have been just destroyed.
It's also so funny that like it's this great, it's like watching Aliens or something now, you know, where it's supposed to be futuristic but all the computers are done in DOS and that, where it's like, oh, it's supposed to be the future but everything is just, it's like a full paper office. Like they've got all these computers but the computers are just brains that operate the lifts. You know, they don't do any calculation at all. All of that is still just done with a fucking.
I wrote. This is what I when I was reading my stuff, I wrote this down. I wrote connected across the stars by a web of scribbled notes, which I think like sums up 40K. It's just so backwards. But you need to read up on the Siege of Brax or listen to that thing that I sent, because it's the whole thing is it's a planet that is a storeroom that holds millions of armored vehicles, and the planet turns to chaos, and that's why they end up fighting this siege, because they work out that all the bean counters work out how many men it would take to recapture the storerooms, knowing how many tanks the enemy forces have, because they know how many tanks are in the storerooms. And that's all I say. You need to read up on it. It's very good.
So, Stoney, if the Adeptus Administratum are the unsung heroes of the Imperium, you're going to tell us about some of the unsung heroes of the Adeptus Administratum, right?
Well, yeah, I wanted us to talk a little bit about, you guys know me, I'm a working man, you know, and I wanted to talk about the working men of the 40K universe, and that is the servitors. These brainless, poor bastards that have been stripped down of all their emotions and turned into useless spanners or, you know, fixing machines or anything like that. And I know that you guys have been a bit critical about some of the fan fiction that I've found in the past, and said, Tony, it's a bit blue, that fan fiction you found. But I think that I found a real good story that helps explain the becoming a servitor process. So this is from the internet, and I'd like to read it for you now, if you'd be obliged.
Please do.
Okay. Blessed iron, living iron. Override code, kill me. Override code, your eyes. Cutting, ripping, unutterable, obliterating pain. The stink of blood and hot machine oil. The towering figure in power armor watching impassively as a voice screeched forward, as a voice screeched for mercy. A voice that the servitor did not remember as one that was his own. No ability to understand the images dragged from his lanced mind. No mind to understand what was happening to it. It flickered out of consciousness, out of reality, only to awake with a start. The pain, the familiar pain, now coupled with something new, the desire to vibrate for all it was worth. Its visual senses came online to make out the face of Fulgrim grinning at its new form.
Oh, we know where this is going.
Let's see what this bad boy can do, he hissed and dropped his metal space pants. The servitor began to vibrate uncontrollably, realizing its new task as it plunged towards Fulgrim's puckered asshole. And I'm sorry, guys, I think that I've gone on. I'll be honest with you, I didn't read the whole story, and I'm a bit worried that maybe this is going to turn a bit blue again. I accept your criticisms. You're right. I shouldn't find stories online. I'm sorry. But I don't think that this detracts from the fact that servitors are people that can be made into anything, like a calculator, a candlestick, anything you want. We've talked about this. You write stuff down on paper. All your computer is done on paper. But then, you know, the shoe polishing machine is made out of a human brain. How crazy is that, right? Servitors.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are excellent.
Well, I think we've mentioned it before, but can you just imagine being the brain inside a door?
Yeah.
It was Marvin the android in the happy-go-lucky Hitchhiker's Guide takes it on a completely different idea if you're a human brain conscious of being able to only open and shut a door for eternity.
Or if you're an android and you're 4 human brains, 1 for each arm and 1 for each leg. It's that's the kind of stupid extent that they go to, isn't it? It's just, we've done an episode on Inquisitors, so you can see why people get turned into servitors, but it's such a great part of the grimdark is the servitor. It's the servitor, the servo skull, all of that shit. The fact that it's just this throwaway, casual disregard for human life in pursuit of opening a door. It's so grimdark. It just adds to the lore so much.
What's more 40K, a space marine or a servitor?
I think a servitor.
I feel like this is chicken or the egg. You can't have one without the other.
You could argue that, yeah. But a servitor is just it's so weird. It's so crazy. You don't really get it in anything else.
I can't think of any other sci-fi that has something like a servitor.
No.
Where I can think of space fighters,
genetically engineered things. Yeah. It's crazy. It's so cool. And the idea that some of them don't have their mind wiped completely. Yeah. So they are just trapped in this monotony.
I think it's like that sleep paralysis or whatever, where you're awake, but you can't move or anything. Oh,
there's some bits on I think when I mentioned before, there's a bit where there's an Assassinorum book where they go to a pleasure world, and the Calidus assassin, the one that can change its skin and stuff, and they're all just in whorehouses and things and weird psychers. And there are, joking aside, loads of sex toy servitors in these massive pleasure planets that are like planet-sized brothels of everything the mind can.
Man, to be fair, I'd rather be a sex toy than a door. At least you'd have interesting stories.
Yeah, you're right. Dark, horrible. But where would, like, I can't imagine the Adeptus Administratus can run without all of the servitors typing stuff in.
Yeah.
No way.
I mean, it's like we said. I mean, they're everything from literally the infrastructure of 40K is made up of like servitors, like human brains, just functioning things, like we say, like lifts or whatever. Like there's no, you couldn't have a 40K spaceship without like 40,000 human brains lodged into it. So it's just this crazy, it just feeds into this disregard for life, this grim dark, like we get the job done no matter what the cost, this kind of like not even on the verge of fascism, what am I saying, just this horrible kind of dictatorial, like kind of future regime.
Yeah
It's got everything. Well, that was a nice little ride through the Administratum, I think.
There was actually a reason why I'd suggested looking into, as well as it being like a hidden element of 40K, which is a very substantial one. There's a competition. If you go on Google after this and you search 28 Mag Challenge, there's a website called 28 Mag, which I'd never heard of before. And they're doing a competition which ends on the 31st of March. And you can create either a piece of art or a model of a human in the Administratum.
I'm upset at this competition. If it's going to be true Administratum, they should make you send in a completed tax return or like,
you should
something
do that.
like that.
You have a 400 word thing that you have up to 400 words to do whatever you want.
Send them in a bunch of binary and
yeah.
Or just classified.
There you go, the Adeptus Administratum, everybody, not just a bunch of paper pushers. So yeah, don't pick on the nerds. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this, the Random Topic Generator, the thing that you all tune in for, the thing you all love. You all know the theme tune for it, Random Topic Generator. Come on, guys, you all know the theme tune.
Random Topic Generator.
And, shut the fuck up. It's time for the Random Topic Generator. Have you got the company dice, Welshie?
Of course.
Roll the company dice and let's see what we got. This is always one of the
It's a 5. You are trapped on a desert island. You get one 40K friend. Who's it gonna be?
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Jaquero, right? I'm on the desert island. I need somebody there that can like entertain, but also dematerialize things into other materials and things like that, and just I just feel like I connect more with the monkey guys than anybody
I reckon
else.
the Jaquero is going to see it as a holiday. He's going to run into the trees. He's going to have himself a few bananas, and he's just going to laugh at you.
Oh, you're right. I'm dead weight to the Jaquero on this island.
Jaquero's going to chill out, eat as much as he can, wait for you to die.
And then materialize my bones into rings. Yeah,
that's it.
Fair.
Yeah, I think.
All right, I fucked up. I fucked up my choice, guys. Matt, have you got any movement on a Jaquero?
Oh, yeah. Well, I've got 2 immediate thoughts, and I'm trying to grind out the gears to work out which one to go for. My options are. Shall I go through my options? My 2 options?
Do it. Why not? Let's hear them.
My immediate thought was Belisarius cool, because he could probably like build loads of stuff and he seems quite funny. And
I feel like he needs a recharging station or something, though. Like he's going to run out of batteries at some stage.
My other thought was a beautiful sister of battle. Just because we'd be on a beach and she'd probably have like some fancy fleur-de-lis underwear, and I'd be on the desert island with a beautiful woman.
Man, she ain't gonna let you touch her in any way like that.
She's just gonna strike you down.
Yeah.
You're going to be looking at her, and she's going to see nothing but sin in your eyes, and you'll be strapped to a tree.
That's it. You're just going to spend 80 years looking into her eyes, never daring to look anywhere else.
That old joke that ends with you getting a pineapple shoved up your ass. That's going to be her penitence for you, you know.
Yeah. They're gonna come and try to save you. You're going to be in like some kind of Swiss Wobbington coconut style penitence engine. Still hard as the Dickens, never giving up. Still just like one of these days, I'm still going to get it.
Peeling bits of your skin off for use on her fishing rod so she can catch herself some dinner and grill it up on the inanimate body of Belisarius Cool that she's made some kind of barbecue out of.
Yeah. Oh man. So what about Welshie? What do you think? Who are you going to take with you on this island?
I mean, it seems a cop out to use psychic powers to help. So I'd take a psychic-less Malcador, because I think I could sit down, I could chat, he'd probably tell me all the secrets of the Imperium, just me and the old man chilling out on the island. I could ask him all the questions that I wanted to know the answers to.
Does he count as a 40k friend?
Oh, I suppose not. It does say 40k friend.
You could take his ghost.
The ghost of Malcador.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. If I have to have a living person, I hadn't considered that. But
I'm gonna throw it. Sorry, go on.
No, go for it, Slady, because I need to think again.
If you need some thinking time there, Welshie, I'm just going to say, obviously, fistula. If you're stranded on an island, then you need you need to go back and listen to our episode where we rediscover a Primarch chapter and listen to us discover fistula, because he would be a great guy to be stuck on an island with.
I think so. You can imagine him coming down and dispatching of that Sister of Battle for wasting the coconuts on Matt's arse and making some sweet pina coladas. That's the kind of thing.
He'd mix up the kind of pina coladas that get the Sisters of Battle loose, get them get them frisky. Like Matt will be cut out of that coconut penitence engine in a minute with fistulas down there. You'll see when he gets his steel drum out. Oh my goodness, yeah, that'd melt the heart of any Sister of Battle.
All right, then I would go with a Tau Ethereal. And I would give them the eternity stuck on the island to try and convince me of the benefits of joining the Tau Empire.
What difference would it make if you're on the island for eternity? Be like, okay, cool, we're both a part of this island is now the Tau Empire.
Yeah, maybe if you could just instantly succumb. He'd use whatever strange magic the Ethereals have to contact the Tau somehow, and you'd be absorbed into the expansion. Happy days.
Man, you boys would be 69 in within a month.
Do I get one of those floating drone things that they have? Could we ride that round, like surfing on the Tau drone?
Oh yeah, that'd be good. If you get the Tau technology as well, then that would be good. Yeah, fair play. Another topic decisively decided by the random topic generator. Okay, cool. So in this last part of the show, we do a quiz that we call the Lords of Lore quiz, where I pit Matt and Welshie against each other in a battle of Warhammer lore. So in this particular Lords of Lore quiz, I wanted to do a literary quiz, because obviously everyone in Warhammer's got a book and we never know where they come from. Obviously they come from the Adeptus Administratum in some kind of way. So basically what I've done is I've mixed some easy questions in with some difficult literary questions to try to give you guys a bit of a chance. So are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is the format of the easy questions. So what are they reading? What is Korax reading?
Oh, it's an open question. Okay.
It's an open question. You can feel it out a bit. Some of them might not.
Edgar Allan Poe.
Boom, Welshie coming in there straight with a point. The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. Nevermore.
Oh, I see.
Okay. Yeah, now you're getting the feel for it now. Okay, so what book is Sanguinius reading?
Dracula.
The Bible.
Welshie.
Oh.
Welshie coming in with Dracula again. Okay, cool. Okay, now, what book is cited as having a huge influence in 40k lore and features a future where technology is stagnant also known for coining the terms Carnifex, Lictor, Xenanthrope, and Terminus Est, which is the name of Typhus's flagship. It even mentions a weapon which is specifically like a power sword. What book would that be?
Starship Troopers.
That is incorrect, Matt.
Dune?
It's not Dune, no. I'd never heard of this book. It's called Shadowclaw. It's by Gene Wolfe,
Wow,
which is apparent. Yeah, so
When did that
if you're
come out?
interested,
So it has all those names in it.
that was in the 70s.
Those words were made up by that author, were they?
Those words were made up by that author.
Oh.
It's the fourth. It's like a series of books,
Mhm.
Shadow Wolf, and this is Shadow Wolf is the fourth part of the name of whatever trilogy that is. But it's by Gene Wolfe. So if you want to go and find out that kind of stuff, then check that out.
That's cool.
Anyway, back on with the show. What is Lorgar reading?
The Necronomicon.
Oh no. He's
The
a
Bible.
What did you say, Matt?
Lies.
Oh well, yeah, close. You're close. He's like a conspiracy guy. He's like,
Oh, is he reading the QAnon Reddit board?
I'll give you a point for that. Yeah.
Okay.
but Matt, do you want to take a jab at it as well? That wasn't what I had written down, but.
No, I don't know what to say.
All right, okay. QAnon Reddit board will do. I had Alex Jones / David Icke.
Okay.
Ah,
We are all lizards.
Okay. All right. What is Fulgrim reading?
Big busty babes.
Pleasure
Yep.
and pain.
No, I'm giving it to Welsh. I just had porn written down here.
Right, yeah.
Okay. What book features both lasguns and a god emperor and is thought to have had a big influence of 40K because of its depiction of space travel?
Starship Troopers.
No.
I've never heard of something with a.
Welshie, you've said it previously.
Have I?
You did. You've mentioned this as an answer for the last.
Was the Necronomicon?
No, it's Dune.
Jesus Christ, I'm an idiot.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's Dune. So if you want to see where las guns and stuff, apparently it's really good. I've heard that Dune's really good.
I've actually read it.
myself.
Yeah, which is
it good?
makes it worse. Yeah.
I think
There's a film coming out soon. If you can't be bothered though, it's kind of difficult to.
Okay. What is Alfarius reading?
The Suspicious Minds lyrics.
No, -1 point for Welshie.
No.
Is he even reading at all? He might not. He's a sneaky spy.
It's not even him reading.
He's reading your book.
Oh, no.
I mean, all of
these are kind of good, but what's he doing? Like, it's like, you go to a spooky house and there's like
He's got holes in the book. He's like
1 point to Matt.
Ah.
There we go.
He's reading a newspaper with holes in. Okay.
Yeah. What is Guliman reading?
The Codex.
Yep, that's right. Matt Welshie coming in with his 4th point because I took one away. Okay, so it all comes down to this. The last question, worth 6 points. And therefore, whoever wins this takes home the gold. What book is responsible for a significant portion of Games Workshop's profits over the last 20 years?
White Dwarf?
No, I'm afraid not. Welshie. Matt, have you got an answer? We've done this is a thing. This is like a whole thing. This is a section on the
Black Library.
Imperial Armour.
No, you guys are going to kick
The
yourselves.
Warhammer rulebook.
No. Keep trying.
Is it the catalogue? The mail order catalogue?
What book has influenced Games Workshop to the point where this isn't you're going to kick yourself when you get the clues in the name. Like they have the name of the book is the name of the game in Games Workshop. Okay, I'm going nuclear. It was written by J.R.R. Tolkien.
Oh, the Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. Welshie pipped it, coming in, winning the 15,000 points at the end there, and taking home the gold. Great. Oh man, that was a struggle. But we got there eventually. Thanks everybody for listening at home. This has been another episode of the Large Blast podcast. Say goodbye, everybody, I guess.
Don't burn down any libraries,
everybody.
people. Don't burn down any libraries.